Hello, hello, and welcome back to Bacon. Also, welcome back to Cinderella Phenomenon Rod's Route. We're going into another delightful mommy memory. You stepped out of rhythm again, Lucette. But mother, this is really hard. A princess never complains. You must perfect this waltz by tomorrow. Otherwise, I will not allow you to play with your dolls for the day. But if you have time for objections, you have time to push yourself harder. Now, once again from the top. Ooh. And I could have stopped there where there was like an actual interlude. The following days are uneventful. Emmeline continues her dance lessons with Rod, but I was expecting the mom memory to be a lot longer, to be fair. Her steps are still far from perfect, but I can tell that she has improved since my demonstration with Rod. Meanwhile, Rod still chooses to ignore me most of the time, though I have noticed that he is less cold than usual. At least he does not snap at me for no good reason anymore. Though Delora is no longer assisting me, she insists on staying in my room more often. She says that there is something important she wants to investigate, and I cannot even guess what it might be. I prefer not having her around anyway. Her constant chattering makes it difficult to focus on anything. Oh my goodness. Right now I am still trying to figure out how I can achieve my first good deed. Almost 3 months have passed since I was first cursed, but I have yet to complete my first good deed. These are my thoughts as I head back to my sleeping quarters after dinner that night. Emmeline excused me from... These are my thoughts as I head back to my sleeping quarters after dinner that night. Emmeline excused me long ago, insisting that I go to my own room before she went to hers. I am walking down the hallway when I notice Rod heading down a familiar path. I follow after him. Are you going to the march-in? Rod jumps and turns around. The surprise in his face quickly fades into annoyance. Don't do that again. And no, not today. Since I came here, I found out that Rod occasionally sneaks out of the palace at night through the secret passageway to go to the march-in. Even now I am so confused as to why he goes there. He said before that he had given up on breaking his curse, which makes me wonder why he still visits. It also makes me wonder why he would refuse to break his curse in the first place. Is he okay with being the way that he is, or is his curse just really difficult to break? Or does it involve murder? Why were you cursed, Rod? I am not answering that question. Why? I cannot help you break your curse if you refuse to tell me anything. I told you before that I do not need your help. But I chose you as my partner. You help me and I help you. Oh, I still don't like the forcedness I'm seeing here. It is highly likely that breaking Rod's curse will count for a good deed. Not if you're purposely doing it for a good deed. Like I said before, that negates it. Rod scowls at me and crosses his arms. I'm afraid that isn't how this works at all. The sound of footsteps keeps me from coming back with a retort. We both turn to see Sir Alcaster approaching us. Prince Rod, good evening. Good evening, Sir Alcaster. Sir Alcaster turns to me and raises an eyebrow. Shouldn't you be attending to Princess Emmeline? Rod silences me with a look. He moves to stand in front of me, shielding me from Sir Alcaster's gaze. We were just about to go to her. Let's go, Lucette. Rod strays away and I quickly curtsy to Sir Alcaster before following after Rod. I can still feel Sir Alcaster's eyes on my back as I turn away. I try my best to suppress a shudder. Rod and I walk through the hallway in silence. We both stop in our tracks and we hear the clattering of silverware. I look around and realize that the sound has come from behind a set of doors that is slightly open. The dining hall? Oh no! That's Emmeline's voice. We do not see Emmeline when we enter the room, but there is a dizzying array of cutlery set out on the table. Emmeline? Emmeline surprises us by crawling out from beneath the table. She flashes us an embarrassed smile as she gets to her feet, holding several forks and knives in her hands. What are you doing here? You should be getting ready for bed. Sorry. I eyed the silverware on the table. I thought I could practice before I sleep tonight. It has already been an incredibly long day for her, and she is still doing this? I watch as Emmeline puts the cutlery back on the table into the incorrect places. You need to rest, Em. I will after I practice the placement one last time. She smiles at him before returning to the table. I don't know why a person would need so much cutlery. 1 fork, 1 spoon, and 1 knife should be more than enough for any meal. And all these glasses, if I recall correctly, this one is for water, this one is for red wine, and this one is for white wine. Okay, let's see. So we could point out her mistakes, which would be kind of a jerk move, or we could give her the correct answers, which would be kind of an enabling mood. I'm just gonna give her the correct answers. That flute is for champagne, the other is for sherry. Oh, right. But there are two more. The other is for juice, and the other glass is for dessert wine. The dessert wine glass will only be used during the dessert course, and the juice glass is only used when juice is being served as a course. Otherwise, it is placed next to the water goblet. I see. I see Rod staring at me out of the corner of his eye. His lips twitch before he turns back to his sister. It looked like he was about to smile. Was he really now? Then what are these for? Oh, so I chose right. Yay. Yeah, I figured at this point acting like a jerk isn't going to help anything. Emmeline points out the group of forks in front of her. You use those every day, Your Highness. You should know the answer. Emmeline points at them as she rattles off names. Dinner fork, fish fork, salad. Correct. You know so much about etiquette, too. You're really incredible, Set. You make a better noblewoman than I do. Even if I told her I wasn't noble, it's not as if she would believe me. I just read a lot about all of these things. You read and know enough to put them into practice? That's amazing. Especially since you haven't been with us so long, right, Rod? Rod shrugs. He does not, much to my surprise, disagree. Perhaps you should be my teacher, Lucette. I can learn so quickly from you. Emmeline quickly straightens out the cutlery. Now that I think about it, I have come to realize that Emmeline is much more than she appeared to be. It is probably because I am forced to spend so much time with her as her maid. She is different. She is flawed and not as conceited and more humble than I had originally thought. Maybe I should try lending her a hand. I may not be one of your tutors, but if you need help with your lessons, just ask me and I will do what I can for you. Lucette? I glance at Rod, who is once again wearing that expression of surprise. I shift my attention to Emmeline once again. You only have 1 month left to prepare, and as your personal maid, I feel it my responsibility to help you in whatever ways I can. Lucette. Emmeline wipes her eyes with the back of her hand, and that's when I notice something glistening on her cheeks. Is she crying? Again? You are extremely kind, Lucette. Thank you. I will definitely take you up on that offer. I am still looking at Emmeline when I catch a faint glow coming from the pendant on my chest. What just happened? Oh, what a pretty necklace you have, Lucette. Thank you. Anyway, for now I think the both of us would benefit from some sleep. After escorting Emmeline back to her room, I walk into the hallway in a daze. What was that light? It seems like you actually managed to obtain your first good deed. I did not know he was still here. I look down at my pendant, astonished at what I see. Ah, a piece of the glass slipper? I gingerly touch the new piece that is hanging next to my existing glass slipper pendant. It is real. You're not too bad after all. Oh, he gave a little smile. And because it became a good deed on a necklace, it means that it was genuine. Did he just compliment me? What? Rod turns away. Nothing. He walks away, leaving me alone with my thoughts. Alright. As per usual, we're going to stop there. Well, no, because it's not been that long. This was actually a shorter chapter than I was expecting it to be. I could have totally ended the rest of this on the last episode, and I don't want it to be too short, but I also don't want it to be too long. Oh no! Alright, screw it. I'm going to keep going. Good morning, Your Highness. Would you like to play with us? You want to play with me? I'm out here in front of the gates. My mother. Good morning, Your Majesty. We were just wondering if the princess wants to come play with us. No. Princess Lucette does not want to play with you. But mother, I do. Enough idle chatter. We must go. It is almost time for your dance lessons. But, Lucette, do not make me repeat myself. Yes, mother. It is still dawn when I wake up. As much as I want to continue sleeping, I have no choice but to get up and prepare for the day. The last thing I need is an annoying lecture from the head maid. I've almost become accustomed to waking up this early, even if I do not enjoy it. As soon as my preparations are made, I begin to make my way toward Emmeline's room, should she wake early. I am about halfway there when I hear familiar voices. Standing far ahead of me are Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithros. Are you sure this is going to work? Have a little faith in me, my friend. Friends? We are not friends. Nyam, 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 nyam. Sir Alcaster narrows his eyes and abruptly turns to look at me. Ah, Moose Lucette, was it? Sir Mithros, Sir Alcaster, I'm going to very carefully back away from the both of you. Have a very nice day. Goodbye! Have you been eavesdropping, child? He has no reason to be angry at me. If they were talking about something confidential, they should not have been openly talking in the hallway. I am on my way to Princess Emmeline's room, sir. That is why I am here. I coolly look at Sir Alcaster, who looks like he is about to pop a vein. I cannot help but feel satisfied as a reaction. You go, girl. In just a few steps, he is suddenly looming over me. I have never seen Sir Alcaster look so angry before. What is going on? Rod is now walking towards us with a scowl on his face. Sir Alcaster notices this and quickly steps back. There was just a little misunderstanding, Your Highness. Rod glances at me, his eyes narrowing. Great, I'm sure he's going to blame me for this too, even though I did nothing. Ah! Much to my surprise, Rod puts himself between me and Sir Alcaster. Are you alright, Lucette? He is worried about me? I slowly nod. Rod turns back to see Alcaster and Sir Mithros. If you don't have any business with Lucette, I will be taking her with me. Emmeline is already waiting for her. Sir Alcaster stares at me for a few moments before bowing down to Rod. Of course, Your Highness. Thank you. Rod turns to me again, his expression solemn. Shall we? He walks off before waiting for my reply. I look back at Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithros one last time before chasing after him. The both of us spend the next few minutes walking in silence. Rod has not said a thing since my encounter with Sir Mithros and Sir Alcaster. Are you okay? What? He has already asked me that before. Is he really that worried? Let's see. I am fine. I am not. Well, saying I am not shows weakness, and she abhors that. You know what? From now on, I'm just going to pick the first one and see if that works out. We're just going to do that from now on. I am surprised by the look on Rod's face at my response. His expression is soft, so unlike his usual scowl. Rod here is pretty worried about you, Princess. Sebi? Rod glares at Sebi, his cheeks tinged pink. Sebi chuckles. Sorry, Rod. Your thoughts ring so loudly in your mind that I can't help but say them aloud. This is not the first time Sebi has told me what Rod is thinking. Okay, so the last one I think was a first choice, and I think the one before that was also a first choice, so from this point on I'm just going to choose the first choice and see if that's correct, unless the second choice is like one of those I really, really want to pick instead. Because every once in a while I am certain which one I want, and then the rest of the time I'm like, oh no! So whenever I'm uncertain from this point on, I'm just going to pick the first one. Unless, again, one seems a little more correct than the other one in a more obvious way. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Okay. This is not the first time Sebi has told me what Rod is thinking. Rod reaches out and pinches Sebi's face, his scowl returning. Ow, ow, ow. I'm sorry, okay, but next time try not to think too loudly. You said that Emmeline was waiting for me. I did not expect her to be up so early. Where is she? I lied. What? You lied to help me out of that situation? Why? Why are you helping me? Because while you're here, you are my responsibility. I may loathe the role. Loathe, not loaf, but I will still uphold it. I will bread the role, but... Besides, you don't need a reason to help someone in need. Help someone in need. Boy, how much were you fighting this? The only reason that you're suddenly okay with this is because you're starting to like her. Don't even play. Don't even play. I remember Parfait and Delora telling me before that being good often involves helping others who are in need. Now that I've helped you, I'll be taking my leave. I have fencing lessons to attend to. Rod starts to walk off, but then stops and turns back to me. Don't get yourself into more trouble. I won't be there all the time to save you. I glare at him across my arms. I am not some damsel in distress, Your Highness. I do not need your help. Rod snorts before turning away from me and walking away. Later that day, I watch Emmeline finish her etiquette lessons. I can tell that the teacher is impressed with her progress. Emmeline is able to correctly name all the glasses and cutlery. She is not so slow a learner. I had come here earlier in the day to better teach Emmeline about proper dining etiquette. It turns out that my lesson was valuable. You have shown great improvement, Your Highness. I am glad that you have been diligent with your studies. No doubt you'll be ready for the ball soon. Emmeline smiles, her cheeks turning pink. Thank you. I wouldn't have done it without the help of a friend. Emmeline glances at me briefly and smiles gently. I really owe her a lot. That is wonderful. I am so glad you have such a dedicated friend, Your Highness. Friend? Is that really what I am to her? But princesses do not have maids as friends. A royal does not mingle with commoners, especially not with servants. Mother told me that before. Emmeline does not treat me as a maid, but she cannot possibly think of me as a friend. After the teacher gives Emmeline several books to study for their next lesson, she ends the lesson and excuses herself. Emmeline approaches me and grasps my hands. Thank you so much, Lucette. I wouldn't have passed without your help. All I did was repeat the things your teacher taught you. But you're different. I raise an eyebrow at her. Different? I tend to get nervous in my lessons. My teachers are strict and intimidating. I cave beneath the pressure. But with you, well, I feel more comfortable around you. It's probably because we're almost the same age and your lessons feel more casual. So thank you. I am very grateful to you. She looks down at the ground shyly. I hope it's alright that we're friends. I furrow my eyebrows at her. Why would you even want to be friends with a maid? You're supposed to be making friends with the nobles, not the servants. Emmeline frowns and I can feel her deflate. She walks toward the window and sighs. I tried. They may not say anything, but I can feel them silently judging me. I wasn't born a princess, and I feel that they judge everything that I do. They think that I smile too much, that I'm not regal enough. They feel that I'm too clumsy or too cheerful. Well, Emmeline definitely does not act like a noble. I cannot say I blame the nobles for being skeptical of her. Being with them suffocates me. I do my best to act like a princess, but the way they all look at me, it's as if they're waiting for me to make a mistake. Then they'll all have an excuse to jeer at me. Every girl dreams of becoming a princess, and yet this is not my dream. I really just miss being a normal girl. I miss my freedom. I look at her thoughtful. I think I can understand what Emmeline is feeling. Just like me, she was thrown into a world she was not ready to be a part of. Right now we have no choice but to fit in. She never wanted my title in the first place, yet I accused her of stealing it. Have you told your mother how you feel? Oh, that was italicized to indicate thought, but I guess she said it out loud? Yeah. Emmeline shakes her head. No, not the king either. I don't want them to think that I'm ungrateful. That's why I'm trying my best to become accustomed to all of this. I cross my arms. But you were not happy. I'm not. Everyone just assumes that I'm happy because I smile a lot. She barely opens up to anyone, and yet she opened up to me. Had I been given the choice before I was cursed, I would never have listened to her. And another really sad fact is, usually the ones who smile the most are the ones that are often dealing with the most problems. You should tell them how you feel rather than just keep it to yourself. Otherwise, the stress will continue to accumulate on your shoulders. I wish I could be more honest with them. I really do. I envy you for being able to speak your mind. She envies me? Emmeline takes a deep breath and sighs. The frown fades with the sigh and is quickly replaced by a fragile smile. I'm sorry for ranting to you like that. I must have bored you with my story. I used to get so annoyed with her, but now that I have seen this side of her, I suppose she is not as terrible as I first thought. Oh, sister bonding time. Oh, I remember that Mother wanted to see me after my lessons today. Allow me to escort you to the Queen, then. Thank you. Alright. Aha! Perfection! We're gonna pause right there. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I am Bacon, and this so far has been the Cinderella Phenomenon Rod's Route. If you like the video, feel free to like the video. If you like me, feel free to share, subscribe, comment, all that lovely stuff. And I will see you in the next installment of Cinderella Phenomenon. Alright, bye.